So, good morning, everyone. We'll begin with the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all being released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and result will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. So, but wanted to read a few passages from this book, Buddha's teachings on social and communal harmony. And Bhikkhu Bodhi has a whole chapter on dealing with anger, because, as I'll read here, he says that oftentimes what causes community, maybe you could say a family, to fall apart is because of anger and resentment. So here is what he has to say. Among the mental defilements disruptive to social harmony, probably the most pernicious is anger. Since virtually all communities, including Buddhist monasteries, consist of people still prone to egotistical desires, they are in constant danger of being riven by anger, resentment, and vindictiveness among their members. For this reason, the control of anger is critical to communal harmony. The Buddha recognizes that while giving vent to anger brings a certain degree of satisfaction, he points out that angry outbursts ultimately bounce back upon oneself, entailing direct harm for oneself and entangling one in conflict with others. Hence, in the selection I chose, he describes anger as having a poisoned root and honey tip. Right? Poisoned root and honey tipped. So this is the verse. Sakka, the ruler of Devas, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, stood to one side, and addressed the Blessed One in verse. Having slain what does one sleep soundly? Having slain what does one not sorrow? What is the one thing, O Gautama, whose killing you approve? Right, saying, usually we say no killing. Sakka asked the Buddha, what is something you would be approving of killing? The Blessed One. Having slain anger, one sleeps soundly. Having slain anger, one does not sorrow. The killing of anger, O Sakka, with its poisoned root and honey tip, this is the killing the noble ones praise. For having slain that, one does not sorrow. I wanted to read another section which actually talks about Sakka as well. And this is a discussion between him and his charioteer. So the Buddha says, once in the past, the Devas and the Titans, the Asuras, were arrayed for battle. Then Vepachiti, the lord of the Asuras, addressed the Asuras thus: in the impending battle between the Devas and the Asuras, if we win and the Devas are defeated, bind Sakka, lord of the Devas, by his 4 limbs and neck and bring him to the city of the Asuras. And Shaka, lord of the Devas, addressed the Devas thus: in the impending battle, if we win, bind Vepachi, the lord of the Asuras, by his 4 limbs and bring him to the Sudama hall. And in the battle, the Devas won and the Asuras were defeated. And the Devas bound Vepachiti by his 4 limbs and neck and brought him to Shaka in their assembly hall. When Sakka was entering and leaving the assembly hall, Vepachiti, bound by his 4 limbs and neck, abused and reviled him with rude, harsh words. Matali the charioteer addressed Sakka, lord of the Devas, in verse. So the Asuras and the Devas are constantly fighting. The Asuras want to take over the heavens, but oftentimes Sakka wins. And so here he brings in the lord of the Asuras, and being very tough and mean, Vepachi actually verbally attacks Shaka. And so Matali, the charioteer of Sakka, watching this, says to Sakka, when face to face with Vepachiti, is it, Sakka, from fear or a weakness that you endure him so patiently, listening to his harsh words? Sakka, it is neither through fear nor weakness that I am patient with Vepachiti. How can a wise person like me engage in combat with a fool? Matali, fools who vent their anger even more. Fools would vent their anger even more if no one would keep them in check. Hence, with drastic punishment, sometimes translated as with a heavy stick, the wise man should restrain the fool. Sakka, I myself think this alone is a way to check the fool. When one knows one foe is angry, one mindfully maintains one's peace. Matali, I see this fault, O Shaka, in practicing patient endurance. When the fool thinks of you thus, he endures me out of fear. The dolt will chase you even more, as a bull does one who flees. Right? Oh, the bully, this kind of angry, harsh person, seeing somebody enduring their harsh words, thinks, oh, this person's weak, I can just take advantage of them. What's Shaka's response? Let it be whether or not he thinks, he endures me out of fear. Of things that culminate in one's own good, none is found better than patience. When a person endowed with strength patiently endures a weakling, they call that supreme patience. The weakling must be patient always. They call that strength no strength at all, the strength that is a strength of folly. But no one can reproach a person who is strong because guarded by Dharma. One who repays an angry man with anger, thereby makes things worse for himself. Not repaying an angry man with anger, one wins a battle hard to win. He practices for the welfare of both, his own and the others. When knowing that his foe is angry, he mindfully maintains his peace. When he achieves the cure of both, his own and the others, the people who consider him a fool are unskilled in the Dharma. So monks, if Sakka, Lord of Devas, could speak in praise of patience and gentleness, then how much more would it be fitting here for you, who have gone forth in such a well-expounded Dhamma and discipline, to be patient and gentle. So that was a very interesting exchange between Sakka and his charioteer. And I'm just thinking from my own experience about times I responded with anger. The poisoned root with the honey tip. I remember one time when I was, I think maybe in 6th grade, and I was sitting with my friends, I think at lunch, and we were from the band room, I remember. We were all in band before. And at least me and my best friend was in band. And we were having lunch there. And I remember it's one of these weird kind of moments, which I have no idea what caused it. But basically we were talking, and my best friend was eating an orange. And for some reason, he took his orange and he squeezed it and got orange juice all over me and my food. I was like, and he was laughing, and I was like, what? This makes absolutely no sense. Now I'm sticky and my stuff's got orange juice all over it. This is, not pleasant, let's say that. I remember sitting there kind of fuming in my resentment and unhappiness. He's laughing and joking with other guys, and it's like, what? That was pretty random, And at one point, he didn't really pick up on anything. He just joking, and then he had to near the end of the lunch, he offered me half of his orange. Oh yeah, okay, I'll take half your orange. I took half the orange, and I squeezed it all over him. And I was like, see? Talking about honey tip, poisoned root. Then one of the group, I don't know what happened, but somehow reported us to the teacher or something, that we had some kind of fight or disagreement. And so before we knew it, we were sitting in the principal's office. And usually I haven't gone to the principal's office too much, so I was, pretty upset. Here I'm sitting here in front of the principal's office for, squeezing orange on my friend. And I don't quite remember the conversation. He asked us what happened, and maybe not doing it again or something. And I remember leaving it, and this other friend, who was still kind of teasing me, I think, was saying, you got in trouble. You're going to be in your permanent record, and you're not get to go to your college, and then I felt really bad. I was kind of like, gosh, and I'm afraid my mom would find out, or it's just this kind of bad feeling in the mouth and in the heart. And I just remember that was the kind of honey tip of poisoned root for anger. And then I read the time is kind of up. I had the other story about, how else can we respond to situations of when we feel kind of wronged, rather than responding out of anger and fighting, to actually respond with patience and gentleness. And in fact, that's really a place of inner strength. So if there's time, maybe I can share a little bit about that. One of the men here was talking to me about patience. And I think actually this is a very important quality to cultivate. And what came to my heart is that if we really want to cultivate patience, it really requires courage. So maybe we can think about that. So maybe today, if you would like, you can reflect on the dangers of anger and how it has a honey tip and a poison root, and the values of patience. How do we cultivate this quality that allows us to face difficulties without moving? Okay, so maybe that much for this morning. Let's do 3 steps, 1 bow.